Today, we are going to interview the CEO of Lupia. Follow me. Well, Lupia is a company that gives loans to startups so that you can start your business, and they don't charge as much as the banks. Is it push or pull? I don't know. All right. Welcome to Lupia. Hello everyone, welcome to Beyond and Above, a show where we bring to you people who are doing beyond and above in their careers or their talents. Now today we have a very special guest with us, the co-founder of Lupiya, a company that went from starting with $500 and was able to acquire investment of $1 million from Enygma Ventures. But it's not my story to tell. Let's hear it from Miss Evelyn. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks, Florence. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. We know that you're a very busy person, but you still joined us today.
It's great that you brought me on, so I'm excited.
All right, yeah. Thank you so much. So we're just going to start with who you are. So who's Evelyn Kaingu?
So Evelyn is an introvert. I try as much as possible to speak when I can. Socially awkward sometimes, but I do my best to just, I suppose, speak. I love to play video games.
Okay.
I've got a passion for digital financial products, and this is basically what has turned me to building Lupia and making financial products for women. So I'm just passionate with the idea of the ability of women having one day own something, which is typically something that's not common in my culture or where I come from. And so, yeah, that's pretty much what I do, I think, on a daily basis. And that would be a brief summary of who I am. Yeah.
Awesome. So we'll talk a little about your primary education, secondary education, all the way up to tertiary. So in a short summary, how has been your education now?
All right. Starting from the top, I went to Cavendish University where I got a degree in economics.
Okay.
And then secondary school, I went to St. Monica Girls' School. That's a boarding school in the Eastern Province. And then I did my primary education in Kafue where I grew up. That's at Malundu Primary School.
Awesome. Very summarized. All right. Thank you so much. Tell us a little bit about Lupia. You know, I'm sure everybody is wondering, okay, what is Lupia exactly? So
Right.
What does Lupia do?
Okay, so Lupia is basically a fintech startup that provides financing to individuals and businesses. We have built a financial platform that's accessed online where individuals and businesses can access financing. And so typically what we do at Lupia is just ensure that SMEs, individuals can get financing for their small businesses. We are heavily targeted on providing financing for SMEs. We do have a gender lens, which is a vehicle that we call Lupia for Women, where specifically we target women entrepreneurs who are looking for financing. And what we do on this platform is always just partner with organizations that are already providing financial modeling training for financial literacy toolkits for these individuals or women. And we basically come in and provide financing. But as an overall vehicle, we still provide financing to the broad emerging market, which is Zambia itself. And we're keenly focused on providing financing for marginalized individuals who can't get traditional financing from financial institutions like banks, microfinance institutions. And so we've basically come up with a model of just giving individuals who are marginalized, like ourselves at the time, who couldn't meet so many bank requirements. And this is what basically we've done with Lupia. And we've been trying to grow Lupia. We started with, like you intimated earlier, we started with just $500. And for us, it's just been a journey to try and grow Lupia, generate as much revenue, be able to just give our customers what they need, be able to basically fill in a gap that has been underserved for a very long time.
Yeah.
And that's what we've chosen to do on a daily basis as Lupia.
Okay, so I see you talked about the gender lens. Is it just for females, or you also give to other genders as well?
Right.
The other gender.
So we do give to the other gender,
Yeah.
and we can say that 51% of our target market is the other gender, which is the male gender.
Yeah.
But and we can say the rest is for two females, and which is broken down between individuals and SME financing. And so yeah, so we are a lender for everybody, not specifically women, but we just basically have a gender lens focus specifically
Okay.
for women. And so
Yeah.
deliberately, we do make that effort to finance women, and just to make sure that there is a vehicle out there on the market that's specifically targeting women and providing financial solutions.
Awesome. All right, that's really an amazing way of focusing on women, but also providing for the rest of the people, the other gender. So you did mention that you started in 2016 with just $500. Tell us about that. How was Lupia born?
Right. So, I mean, starting out was being in full-time employment at the time. I was looking for financing from the bank.
Yeah.
I didn't understand why my loan was rejected. And of course, I went to dig deeper, and the truth was given to me. I didn't meet half the requirements that they were looking for. And so just a little bit of research here and there, and just understanding why we needed requirements to qualify for particular loan types, and just understanding what financial credibility looked like, right? And so it's from that realization I realized that so many individuals were marginalized just like myself. It didn't matter whether you were in town with access to microfinance companies, to banks, you are still marginalized from traditional financing, right? And so from there, my co-founder and I sat down, which is actually my husband, and we just brainstormed around how we could come up with a model that was going to be a purpose-driven model for individuals like ourselves. And the easiest way we're going to do this is by setting a website. We were basically going to provide online lending. We typically didn't have the financing for a brick and mortar traditional financing arm like a microfinance company that needs to set up. And so we had to think creatively of how we're going to be as innovative as we could to try and see if we can extend such facilities to individuals like ourselves. And so that's how Lupia was born. And at the time, we didn't have so much, so we only had $500 on us. And typically, I had gone through a women business model two-kid program with We Create. And it's just basically where they just coach you over modeling your business ideas, take you through concepts of building a business. And it's from then that Lupia was born. We lent out to the first 100 women, which is $500, so very small ticket sizes. And from then on, Lupia has just taken off. And of course, we've always said for us, it's been about just very simple concepts.
Yeah.
The goal for us was to generate as much revenue and show traction, and the only way we could do that is by gaining as many customers. And so typically for us, it was important to just show the traction with the customers, regardless of whether we gave smaller ticket sizes. And as we grew, we bootstrapped our journey, or rather our way into just convincing family and friends to invest. Which basically gave us loans, and we had to turn around. And it wasn't the greatest of terms most of the times with family and friends, because they want to get 90% of the money. And
wait, sorry, just to cut you short there. So you're getting a loan to give a loan.
Exactly.
That's just an amazing concept.
Yeah, so that's exactly what we did. And so we
Yeah.
bootstrapped our way through family and friends, just getting financing from them, and we lent out to as many individuals as we could, of course in a safe manner, because it's a very risky sector that we're in. And that's typically how we grew Lupia, just with two simple concepts, just generating as much revenue, ensuring as much traction as we could, because we knew, starting from where we were, that it only would have taken us up until the third or fourth year to start raising capital. And those projections were basically an indication for us to just show us where we're going to be as a company in 4 years' time. And so it's only in our fourth year that we sort of got to where we needed to be, and we decided to just make as many applications and cold calling to a lot of investors.
Yeah.
And so we made the phone calls, we sent out the emails, we made a lot of applications, and finally Enygma came through with our first initial pre-seed investment of $1 million US.
Wow.
And so that's how Lupia's journey has been so far. And so we're actually in the middle of our Series A currently. And so again, we need to grow the team, and we have this bold vision as well, just transitioning Lupia into a digital bank, and that's what we've embarked on now.
That's really amazing because even when you come to this place, you know, this building, you can tell that there's growth and there's more growth to come. And we can really see that. So, what would you say has been the greatest achievement or greatest achievements for the company so far?
The biggest thing I think for us has been that validation that there can be an online platform. We've got a lot of resistance with so many people saying online platforms in Zambia, people don't use the internet. And I think we've been a model that's been able to prove that we have over 7,000 customers on our platform and they use the internet to apply. So I think that's validation for us as well to just show people that Zambia is an emerging country that's really taking a lot of technology innovation and adoption, and so there is room for platforms like ourselves.
7,000 people accessing your online platform. I think that's just something to show that people can tell you that this can't work, but it can actually really work. So let's talk about the $1 million US.
Okay.
So how has been the experience? How did you make yourself attractive for such an investment, and how did the investment come through? What has been the story behind the $1 million US?
Right. It's really hard to answer that question, and just because I think typically what we've always done from the beginning is that we've always kept good books. I mean, the key thing, we've always known that an investor is going to look at your revenue. That's the first thing they're going to look at. Probably one of the next things they're going to look at is your customer base, right?
Yeah.
And so even at inception, we had an accountant on board, and even for something as basic as a pencil was always recorded if we spend as an expense on a company. And so I suppose at the time that we were also making the applications, we realized we need to be as highly organized as we could. And I think a lot of the feedback that we got as well making those applications and all the rejections that we faced was not taking them to heart, but taking them as a learning experience and just improving on whatever feedback that we got until the time that we were able to get investment with Enygma. And at the time we were getting this application, I think we're probably even on application 300 at this point, right? And so we had so much to learn between our journey with applications of over a year of just looking for this investment and just making sure that we had the right team, we had the right bookkeeping, we had the right resources in place, and just to make sure that we were as attractive as possible to an investor. So typically what would happen in our feedback and realizing would be investors look for different things. And so for the longest time, we operate in a male-dominated space. And I think I realized at a particular point in time that the more I went for female-led investing, female-led focused financing, I was getting a lot of good reviews or some sort of positive feedback, right? And so at that point, we just sort of changed how we looked at the business and looking at platforms that were actually supporting women and seeing what sort of avenues we can get from them. And so when Enygma came on board, they were looking to finance startup investees. They were looking for female-led companies, and so they were a perfect fit for us.
Wow. Yeah. So you made sure that everything was recorded, your revenue, how you had been spending your money, how you had been spending your time, everything was recorded, and you have to look at exactly what an investor is looking for. I think that's really something to learn from. Guys, I hope you're taking note of this. Like, this is very powerful knowledge right here. So let's talk about the Google Black Founders Fund. We saw that, people saw that story, and people were really excited that a Zambian company has made it to such a platform. Tell us a little bit about that experience and how you got there.
Okay. So I mean, it's like any typical startup, we're always looking for opportunities that are relevant to us. And so when Google Black Founders came about, it was as a result of the Black Lives Matter movement that happened in the US. And Google has deliberately put out a fund specifically for Black founders. And so it was across so many other continents. And finally, when it came to Africa, Zambia wasn't even on the list. And so, I mean, we're a fintech company. We use Google all the time for our digital marketing. And so we knew we were a perfect fit for them. And so we just reached out and said, look, Zambia has to be on the list.
Wow.
And can we make the application? And so we did the application.
So they actually got back and said, school.
And they said, let's make the application and let's see what happens. And
wait,
so,
before you go for that, guys, that's some real determination. Like, if you don't qualify, just tell them that, you know what, I think we qualify. Anyways, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, that's what we did. And out of 3,000 applicants, we're part of the 50 that were selected. So
wow.
We're just glad that we could put Zambia on the map. And I mean, it's a lot of realizations talking to individuals after Google Black Founders is that we're the first in the country to get funding from Google, which is an amazing thing. And also just realizing in the region as well that we were actually the first female Black-led company to actually get $1 million as well in the region, which was also shocking to hear. And so I think this just should serve as motivation for so many young people. I hope everyone notices I'm trying to be really cool and just be as simple as possible. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity in the market now and a lot of opportunities. I think people just need to take advantage of them because, I mean, the story can't end at $1 million. It's in investor world, this is not so much, right? And even its impact is significant, but is not as significant, right? And so I think we need to just do a lot in this area to just make sure that we are doing our best to achieve such stats.
Yeah. So these things are there, people. You have heard the platforms are there. You just need to put yourself in order, organize yourself. It's not like they found Lupiya not yet born. They're like, oh, come up with Lupiya, then I'll give you $1 million. It was about you putting your house in order and being attractive for such opportunities. What is the future for Lupiya?
Right. So right now, as we like I mentioned, that we're raising Series A, and the transition for Lupia is to be a digital bank. Again, the markets that we serve don't provide opportunities for small investments. They don't provide opportunity for peer-to-peer lending. So we just recently got licensing and the go-ahead in the SEC Sandbox, which is the Securities Exchange Commission, to provide peer-to-peer lending. Again, we'll be the first platform that does this in Zambia. And so we're very excited because with such a platform, we're able to dictate very low rates for SMEs. And we're very optimistic and excited for this because SME financing is very expensive in this country. And so we're happy to see this. We're also in the transition of doing wallets, which is debit wallets as well as cards. And so this should be launching Q1 of next year. So we're very excited about this. We're also looking at expanding in the region. We're thinking about a few emerging markets like Malawi, the DRC, Botswana, as well as Tanzania. So this is something that we plan on doing in the next 18 months. And so that's the excitement that's coming with Lupia. And at the same time, we're also doing a lot of employment, giving a lot of employment opportunities. We have a lot of interns that come in and out, and so there's always a link on our social media pages, and so that's something to look out for if you're looking to come in and get some experience in fintech. I suppose we are the best place to do it. Experience in the startup world specifically would probably take you through the ins and outs of how perhaps we get it done. And so, so that's where we see Lupia and just growing and seeing the sort of impact that we want to create. With opening the peer-to-peer platform as well. So all lenders and borrowers on Lupia, as they make repayments, they also participate in a child fund. And in this child fund, one of the impact goals for Lupia is to educate 200,000 children in the next 5 years in the regions that we operate in. Yeah. And so that's part of what we want to do as Lupia and just be as impactful as possible. As I started this journey, my auntie would always say, look, I love what you've done here, and if you could just create the opportunity for women to even own something small. And for her, what was so meaningful is just a woman having a car, and she just believes people in her community have never driven a car. It's still a dream for so many women. Women don't own land, or women don't own property, and so she's always just encouraged me to ensure that if this is the arm that can create that opportunity, then please add it as a vision or something that you really ensure and instill in women that it is possible for women to own something. It is possible for women to buy something. And so we also hope that with Lupia, we're able to carry out that message, and we try our best to do that. So those are Lupia's plans for the future.
Oh, wow. I'm just blown away because even as someone watches this, I'm sure the main thing that they'll get from this is to have a goal, a vision, and to want to have impact on people's lives. And you're clearly doing that. So how exactly do people get to reach out to Lupia? What's the procedure?
Right.
And how do they get that loan?
Okay. So twofold. So we provide individual financing as well as for businesses, and all of that can be done on our website. Very clear on our website. You can go through the eligibility calculator, eligibility checker, where you can actually check if you're eligible for a loan, and from there you can then use the calculator to check what the tenures would be and what the rates are. So we're very transparent and we're very big on that. That's just one of our values as Lupia as well. And so if you're looking for a loan, you come to our website. You're an SME, you should have operated for 6 months, you should have been able to show your traction, and this, in this regard is the revenue. A minimum requirement of at least 3 suppliers or 3 customers that you're saving. Significantly, these are the people who we need to see will be able to help you service the financing. And typically for individuals, you could either come in with, if you are in full-time employment, and specifically for a special arm with the women, we specifically work with We Create. We Create is a platform that trains women with financial modeling as well as business modeling toolkits. And so specifically with that, for women who have been through this platform and have started their journey as an entrepreneur can get financing. And as I talk to women most of the time, we think like we look for women who have more established set up companies, and Lupia is basically here for a woman who can be a roadside marketeer, have a roadside stand. And the key thing for us to see here is that are you generating revenue? Can you keep it somewhere? And for us, this would be mobile money, which is basically a simple tool that just shows us how much money you are making on a daily basis. It keeps such a record for you, and as well as what you take out, if you can explain it in terms of expenses, and you can just show us what your profits are. And this is a business that we try to look at. And so for smaller women, we try as much as possible to open up to a lot of partnerships as well in the market. So if you are affiliated to a particular partner, we can look at what the partnership proposal looks like. If you're women with that partnership and have small, have some financial needs for the small businesses that they support, we can come in and then offer financing.
So I like how you have reduced that 3 years to 6 months. Clearly it shows the difference between you and what your competitors are providing. And I like how easy you've made it. And also you started with keeping a record of everything that you're doing, and that is what you're requiring from the women that are coming in. And you just asked for 6 months. 6 months is really something to show and present, and I think that's a really exciting idea. So what advice do you have for startups out there? I see a number of startups in Zambia, but then there's this sad trend where they start, they fail, or they start just because of the funding, or maybe they don't get funding at all. So what advice do you have for young startups out there?
I mean, I think the goal is to always start, bootstrap in any way that you can. Typically, at least we can safely say 70% of the businesses out there can start without an initial investment. And if I didn't have $500, I think I would have sold my shoes or a couch that I probably didn't need, or if I had a phone or a laptop, and this could be a smartphone just to basically start, right? And just because you believe in the vision, the one thing that you'll be trying to do is to test your assumptions as a business that you'll be looking to set up. And so quickly for me, what helped was the business model canvas. That's what is typically known as. The platform that I did my trainings with at We Create, yes. They call it a business model toolkit. And so basically it just lets you know at every stage what you need in your business. And I think half the time with what I've seen with so many businesses is that they don't pay attention to what are the necessary resources at every given time just because they start generating revenue, right? And so at every given time, you are always reflecting and looking back at where you are and where you are trying to go. And so if it's resources that you need like IT, if it's resources that you need like financing, an accountant, These are the things that you always provide a checkup for yourself to make sure that you can give yourself some sort of, I suppose, some sort of checkpoint for yourself to just make sure that you're not going off balance. Sometimes generating revenue is sometimes not really an indication that you are doing well, but perhaps there's a lot of things that you need to keep doing to just make sure that you're focused. I think the key thing for us was a lot of learning. We had to make sure we were doing it as fast as we can. There's always this saying that in a startup world, you have to keep running. You always have a very short timeline. Those days they'll give a business a year. These days they give a business 3 months, and I think it's fair assumptions because in 3 months is good enough indication to show yourself whether you are on the right track or not, if you should be moving on to the next business or not. And just for people to take heart, to stay in the game. We've probably cried more than we have been happier. And so I think the goal is to just not give up. Mm-hmm. And I think if there's something that I forgot to mention starting out here was the fact that we didn't pay ourselves in the beginning. There was no such money. And but the goal for us was to really ensure that you validate your model. There's always something that my brother likes to tell me as well, is that you should always just remind young people that don't move out of your parents' house yet until your business takes off, just because you don't have to pay for rent and food. And so these are things that you are mindful of, right? Because if you're paying for so many things, chances are your business will not take off. So and just keep doing you, keep abreast with trends in the markets, a lot of reading, a lot of research. I believe now at every stage in life there's an opportunity for everyone, whether you are so small, whether you are so big, and then just keep looking out for those opportunities and see where they take you.
Wow, I think it's very clear to our viewers, and I'm sure they're excited for this information. And what advice would you give for people who are looking out for investment? How do they make themselves attractive, and how do they find these investment opportunities?
Especially now that we're in the middle of a race, I've realized that it's a lot of cold calling. This is just basically reaching out to as many investors as you can. And so the typical way that we do it is just list down every single investor that is on the continent, in the country, and across every border. And so we have like a whole pipeline of over, I think, close to 600 people. We've managed to reach out to 300. Only, I think, 36 have responded, which is a good number so far. And so that's really been the key thing for us. As much as possible, there's always things that an investor wants to look out for. You can get these tips on Google. You can reach out to people. You can reach out to banks. So it's a matter of just really fine-tuning what your model looks like to what your ideal investor will look like. And so you'll be trying to mimic what they'll be looking out. But the key thing I would say is get a good accountant. That's going to be very important. And if you can't afford them in the beginning, at least try and sell them into your vision, which is what we did because we couldn't afford an accountant at the beginning. Yeah. And so key things is just keeping your books in order. It doesn't matter if you're even just accounting for 1,000 kwacha. Let's know where the 1,000 kwacha is sitting. It's in a bank account. Are you ready to pay for bank charges? Can you pay for anything with your 1,000 kwacha? And what happens when you deploy 600 kwacha into the market for your business? Are you going to be making maybe 800? Is it 1,000 kwacha? Where are you recording this 1,000 kwacha? Can it stay in a bank account? So just having the discipline to make sure that you can distinguish between the business and what your personal finances are.
All right, thank you so much. I think it's been clear, and we're back to putting our books in order, and I think that's like the highlight. Like, people don't really understand that, especially in Zambia, they'll just do the business and also the fact that don't move out of your parents' house before your business takes off. You just see a few profits here and there, you're already buying a car and all that stuff. Yeah. So even as we conclude, as a CEO, what's the life of a CEO right now? Like, do you have your free time? What do you do in your free time? Or there's never free time?
So there is free time. You make it, but it's tough. It's a lot of late nights sometimes, but I think it can be managed better. Yeah. I think we typically started very small, and so you will find that you're going to do 1,000 jobs. You are the marketer, you are the salesperson, you are the receptionist and you meet all the customers, and so it's a lot of hard work. But I mean, typically now I'm just really just the company. We tend to set OKRs, which is typically for the year, and we just have to make sure that those objectives are being met by the team and just making sure that we're running smoothly. But the big thing is for us to save our customers. And so one of our biggest KPIs is just to ensure that our customers are able to access our products in the simplest way, and that's what we've been trying to do every single day.
So that's you in your free time.
Free time, I play a lot of video game with my son. I watch a lot of Netflix. I read a couple of books here and there. I have a very boring life, but I mean, I try my best. I hang out with my friends. I do lunches, I suppose, from time to time. And that's basically my free time.
I think it sounds interesting to me.
Well, I hope. I mean, I don't play sport. I'm looking to start something. Just be a little bit more active, I suppose.
The thing is, CEOs always want to do golf. I don't know why.
Yeah, so you know what? And that's the thing. So we just recently had a golf tournament, and we were saying, look, I mean, the CEO needs to know how to play golf. I said, no, but why? Why can't I just know how to play chess or something else, like or just checkers or something? But so I mean, something I want to do, but I have taken keen interest in tennis, and that's something that I started learning. I found myself missing the last 3 sessions because I have to be here, just because of the demands that are there right now, but I hope to pick it up next month.
All right. Thank you so much, Evelyn, for having us and hosting us in your beautiful company. We've learned so much, and this information is going to change lives, I believe so. And we're going to see a lot of startups being born out of this interview, and I'm really excited about that. So our last question as we conclude.
Okay.
Evelyn, you're a woman, and it's tough to be a CEO in the world that we live in, even though we would want to put a blind eye to it and say, no, women are doing fine. But it's very tough out there to even talk to investors, convince them that you can do this. So what advice do you have for women who feel intimidated in the world of a CEO?
So I wouldn't say it's intimidating. You grow into the role. I mean, I just came from a finance and admin background. I didn't know much about being a CEO, and it came to me. It comes with a lot of reading, interacting with individuals. So nothing is going to be out of the blue. It's going to be something that you just find yourself into. No one's going to know the vision of the business other than yourself, and only you can carry that day and know where you're trying to go. In very male-dominated spaces, you can tell who wants to talk to a male and who doesn't. And so with that, I made sure my co-founder is a male. And just to make sure that in scenarios where he needs to be there, I've made sure I have done that, because I realize the culture and the setup that we operate in. But also just to encourage women that there's nothing that we can't do as well. Just we are equally put to the task just as men. And I think a lot of people like to put this on my shoulders and say, you are doing it for women, right? And I say, look, I mean, I think we're doing it for humanity, because when we start to put a lot of categories and barriers to the things that we do, then it becomes limiting. And so I think when we look at challenges, let's not look at them as very women-led. There's scenarios like yourself, Florence, who are making incredible things for individuals. And so it's important for young people to just see themselves equally to the task, and just ensure that we're doing our best to ensure that we are recognized.
Amazing. Any last words as we close?
So I mean, last words is I know people who watch the show are in university, so I suppose study hard. And I mean, I think basically what I'll just probably try and say is just stay true to your passion. I think passion carries the day. A lot of startups that we started out with drop off in the way just because a lot of people thought what they needed was funding. But the truth is that what you need is real passion to deliver on your goals and beliefs, and just make sure that you are doing what you want to do on this earth. And I suppose that's what we do every day.
All right. Thank you so much, Evelyn. Thank you for joining us. This was Beyond and Above, a show where we bring to you people who are doing beyond and above in their careers or their talents. We've had amazing guests so far. We've had Mr. Dumisani Nkube, who talked about entrepreneurship. We've had Barbara Banda talking about football. We've had so many guests changing lives and just impacting other lives. So I hope you were inspired by this story. See you in the next episode. My name is Florence Jedidiah Mulenga. Thank you.